revenue.
Right, let's speak to the West Midlands Euro MP, Nikki Sinclaire. Good morning.
Good morning.
Your thoughts first on what the Chancellor needs to say today to put a smile on the face of the average person on the streets in Coventry and Warwickshire.
Well, first he should explain why he got it so wrong when he took power. The spending cuts, the harsh medicine was only supposed to last 4 years, and his policies obviously haven't succeeded as he had planned to, because obviously we're going to have to extend the period. But what concerns me is, the 10% cut into local authorities. We've just experienced cut after cut after cut. And, can we really continue to sustain these cuts to libraries and so forth while, we all know about our everyday budgets. And when we're spending too much money, when we need to cut money, we need to cut out the luxuries. Surprise, your listeners will not be surprised for me to say that one of the luxuries that we simply cannot afford is our membership of the European Union, which costs £52 million a day. Surely we want local services rather than paying £52 million net a day to the European Union.
So pull out.
Well, I think, I'm a pro. Obviously, I represent a party called We Demand the Referendum Now party, which is calling for a national debate. And have this type of debate. Do we want cuts at home while we're giving money to the European Union? And let's have a debate. What are we getting back for that money? We hear the scare stories, which are just that, scare stories. But that's why I'm calling for a national debate, because we are really suffering at home. And every one of your listeners will have been impacted in one way or another by these cuts. And do we want to sustain these cuts while we're just throwing money down the drain? And don't forget, we're giving the money to the European Union, all this money, £52 million a day, and their accounts haven't even been successfully audited for 17 years. So where is this money really going while we're having severe cutbacks at home? We just cannot afford to continue in this situation.
What would put a smile on your face when the Chancellor stands up today? What could he say that would cheer you up and say, oh, OK, George, you got the right idea?
Well, two things. Obviously, one, about the EU, and two, taking taxation seriously for everybody and taking people out of tax at the lower end. Yes, we need to take people out of tax more and more and more, which will encourage people back to work. It will also, you need to encourage employers, small businesses, cut the regulation, which incidentally mostly comes from Europe, which will enable people to be small businesses to be more confident in employing people, because small businesses employ about 80 to 85% of all employment within the UK, and that's what he needs to do. But of course, what we need to do is lance the boil of Europe, because that is at the centre of most of these problems.
What about HS2?
Another, jam tomorrow exercise. This is a £30 billion. Again, can we afford? This would be a nice for him to stop in its tracks, to halt, because this is about jam tomorrow. This is somewhere in the future. That money will be best spent now. I don't think it's going to deliver what it says. Would you buy a 30-year-old car? The 30-year-old car is way out of date, and that's what HS2 will be. It's a project for the future. And where we have now, I would point you to look in the area of Kent, and I have family in Kent. HS1 simply hasn't delivered. And, if you look at my Twitter account, we'll retweet the thing today, there's what you see in Kent is coaches. Where HS1 is broken, people having to get on coaches to go part of their route. It doesn't deliver. It's constantly out of time. It's been a red herring, and it hasn't promoted businesses in Kent. In fact, it's actually damaged services. Local railway lines. Well, it has, because you will find that local railway lines, and I say I've got family in Kent, so I know this at first hand. Local railway lines have been actually decreased in services to make way for HS1. What we need, and what always will happen by HS2, is it will make Birmingham a subsidiary of London, and everywhere in between will just be bypassed.
Okay.
And that's not good for local economy of Warwickshire. We actually need something. We need that money invested in local infrastructure.
Nikki, thank you. Nikki Sinclaire.
In local infrastructure.
Nikki, thank you. Nikki Sinclaire.